Hi everyone, it's Rax bringing you another guide for Season 18. This is going to be the Z-Necro. It has never been a better time to be a Z-Nec because with some of the items that they've implemented this season, it's going to be so easy to play. Alright, so the entire point of this build is to be a support. And what you're going to do is you're going to freeze everything to make sure that nothing can attack. And you're also going to crit cap all the monsters, meaning you're going to give the Necros 100% chance to crit, or if you're playing in the Veers XP metas, you'll do the same thing for them. Okay, so let me show you how this works. So in the weapon, we'll take Ingeom, and in general, for every single item on this build, we need attack speed and cooldown whenever we can possibly get it, and then everything beyond that is going to be survivability stats. We'll always take armor over all resist because that's good for a Necro, since Necros usually have int, which gives them all resist, so we need armor to complement that. So because of that, any time that you're going to make or find your items, like for example in Captain Crimson's, it's better to craft them on either a monk or a barb to get the strength or the dex in order to get more armor. So we take Ingeom in the weapon cube because it's going to reset our cooldowns. Every time that we kill an elite, we're going to be killing millions and millions of elites and hunting for them, so this is an amazing weapon. And once again, we always want attack speed and cooldown, and we probably won't need the life on hit at all. We should be very, very tanky, so you can just take a gem of ease here, but if you're having a little bit of trouble surviving, you could put an amethyst in your weapon. In the offhand, we will take Lost Time because cold skills are going to increase our movement speed, so that's best in slot. You could also wear a Storm Shield if you find a really good one. It's a little bit flexible. Int, Bite, percent life, and cooldown, and we're going to augment everything with Strength for extra armor. Stewart Greaves, after we Blood Rush, we're going to move super fast. We're going to be ahead of the pack all the time. We're going to be hunting for elites. We're going to be clicking the pylons, so we want to stay ahead. Int, Vite, All Resist, and Armor. Captain Crimson's new set, the two-piece, gives us 20% cooldown. I believe last season it was 10, so we get 10% free cooldown. We'll take that all day long. Strength, Vite, Armor, and then augment with Strength. And if we can, on our secondaries, we'd always like some resistances, like physical, and pickup radius to pick up the health globes to help out the Barbarian. The other piece of Captain Crimson's will give us our set, once again, Int, Vite, and Armor. Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac is going to bring back all of our cooldowns. We want to be spamming Land of the Dead as often as possible, so this is really going to help us. And we want attack speed, cooldown, and resource. We'll re-roll the crit chance for the socket, and we'll take Gogok of Swiftness again to give us attack speed and cooldown. Oculus Ring, you might think, with all the Oculus Rings around, we probably don't need to take it this season. That's wrong. We want the Oculus Ring because they can stack on top of each other. So the yellow Oculus Ring can stack on top of the pink Power Ring and give all of your DPSers a massive damage increase. No surprise, we're going to take attack speed and cooldown and try to get the highest percent roll on the Oculus that you possibly can. The best is 85. For the Pestilence set, we want the two-piece because it's going to fire a Corpse Lance when we consume an enemy, and we're going to be devouring all the time. And firing these Corpse Lances combined with putting Corpse Lance Brittle Touch on our bars is what's going to crit cap all the monsters. So we want two Pestilence pieces, and invite attack speed and cooldown. Attack speed and cooldown everywhere. Similar to the shoulders, we want the cooldown roll. Leorix, this is going to give us a lot more cooldown. Honestly, the cooldown at this point may be completely overkill. If you find that it's completely overkill, you could take this diamond out for a ruby, and that would give the party 82% more XP. You divide that by 40, it ends up being about 2% more experience. You'll have to play around with it, but some of the Z-Necs that I was talking to the other day, and from my own experience playing it today, I don't know if you're going to need the diamond in there. But you can put the diamond in there if you want for 25% more CDR, and we'll take invite and percent life. Aquila, as long as our resource is above 90, we take 50% reduced damage. It's very hard to die on this build. It's super tanky, it's amazing. Int, Vite, and percent life is what we're looking for. flavor of time. We're going to be running this because we want the doubled pylons. We can have a double shield. We can have a double channeling. We can even have a double conduit and help out the group deal additional damage. So invite, attack speed, and cooldown is what we're hoping for. And the Nemesis Bracers, we're going to be the ones ahead. We're going to be the ones spawning the elites on the pylons. And we want to invite all resist and armor. For the skills, Devour, Cannibalize. We want Cannibalize instead of Satiated because we're going to purposely drain our own health to proc our Blood is Power passive to get additional cooldown to get our Land of the Dead back up. So I strongly recommend taking Cannibalize. Frailty, Aura of Frailty. As we move along the rift, we're going to curse monsters with this Frailty rune that's going to kill them when they drop to 15% health or lower. Combine that with the internal Torment passive that makes it last forever. What that essentially means is as you walk across the room, as you walk across enemies, they're cursed and they're cursed forever. So you don't have to manually curse anything, you just have to walk by them. The quality of life is extremely high with this combination. Blood Rush Metabolism. This is going to let us move super fast. It's going to let us teleport over walls. Metabolism is going to give us an extra charge. And combined with Stewart Greaves, it's also going to make us run really fast. Death Nova, Blood Nova. We're going to spend our health on purpose to proc Blood is Power to bring our Land of the Dead back up. Okay, so we're going to stutter step and use Death Nova to bring back the best skill, Land of the Dead. Freezes everything. Lets us devour constantly, lets us shoot our corpse lances everywhere. Absolutely incredible, and it keeps the rats alive. Or the Veers, if you're doing the Veers XP meta. Finally, Corpse Lance Brittle Touch. This means that the corpse lances that we fire are going to crit cap the monsters. So when you're flying by trash, you don't need to manually cast any corpse lances, but once you arrive at an elite, especially a yellow, especially a juggernaut, excuse me, the Rift Guardian, you're going to want to manually cast some corpse lances to make sure that they're crit capped right away. For the passives, we have Blood is Power. When we lose our health from Death Nova, we're going to get our cooldowns back. Eternal Torment, as we just explained, works with Frailty. You move over them and they're cursed forever. Final Service, if something goes wrong, you're going to stay alive. It's like a cheat death. And Life from Death, when we consume a corpse, we're going to spawn a health globe. This is for the rats with their Reaper's Wraps to do additional damage. In the cube, in the weapon slot, we'll take Messerschmitt's Reaver. This works on assist now, and it reduces your cooldowns by 1 when you slay an enemy, or assist, it's going to bring your Land of the Dead back up. Strong Arms is mandatory. We're going to give 30% extra damage whenever we knock back the enemies. So how are we going to knock them back, you ask? With Brig's Wrath in the cube. Uncursed enemies are pulled to the target location when a curse is applied to them. So when we curse them, we pull them, that's the knockback, and we have 30% increased damage. It just works so beautifully, and with the increased cooldown from Captain Crimson's and the Messerschmitt's Reaver, it's never been easier to play. Okay? In the Paragons, I would first max movement speed and then put the rest into Vitality. You can put some into max Essence if you want to make it harder to lose your Aquila, but it's completely up to you. In offense, the only two that help us are attack speed and cooldown, so take those two first. Okay. For defense, take armor and life and all resist. Actually, I would take, this is fine. Armor and all resist and life are the first 3 I take, and then I take life per second last. And then finally, I take resource cost and life per hit first. The last category doesn't mean too much. Let me take you into some gameplay on the new patch. We don't have the Triune Rings, but let me show you how amazing this build is. Alright everyone, let's see this build in action. One thing I want to point out is I was trying this build with Echoing Fury instead of Ingeom, and it worked just as well. So there's a lot of options and variants that you can try that are going to make this amazing. So essentially all I do is I blood rush forward. I always cast Land of the Dead, and then I just kind of step around and I use my Blood Nova to proc my Blood is Power to get all my cooldowns back. But as you can see, my Land of the Dead is always up. It's absolutely insane. It's never been a better time to be a ZNec, and you can absolutely fly with this build. So all I'm doing is I run ahead, I find some elites, I freeze them, and then I just fly ahead to the next elites. That's all that we're interested in killing, and the mages will kill stuff just as we're flying by. And as you can see, there's a lot of stuff in this room, so it's taking us a while to clear it all. But it's finally all down, and we're pulling a pretty high level. We're pulling GR 115 and smashing it pretty easily. And as you can see right there, my Land of the Dead was up when it was only halfway through the cooldown, and we've got the Flavor of Time, so we've got the double duration on all the pylons. And you saw that I sort of stepped away from that electrified yellow. You don't want to nuke the electrified packs with your Blood Nova, because then you're just going to kill your rats. So that's one thing to be looking for. One of the only things that can give you some sass is fire chains, so just be careful about diving into fire chains. But other than that, as you can see, my survivability is incredible, even at GR 115. Essentially have no chance of dying here whatsoever. And another thing you can do is, when you get to a yellow, you can manually cast your Corpse Lances, what's on your right click, to crit cat them a little bit faster. You can also do that on the Guardian. But yeah, pretty much you just fly ahead, find the elites, freeze them, stutter step with Blood Nova, and you can see your Land of the Dead is always up. And we're spamming Devour all the time to keep our essence up. And I don't know, if this build is so fun. You move at the speed of light, and you're kind of the leader of the pack. I don't know. I think you guys are going to absolutely love this. So give ZNec a try in Season 18, and let me know how this goes for you. And try both Echoing Fury and Ingeom.